So when it comes to relationships, I've heard this actually from several people. I've heard this from some movie, right? And that's always a good reference. Some 1950s movie where you can barely remember the title. Some came running and had Shirley MacLaine in it, and had Frank Sinatra, and then had Dean. What's his name? It doesn't matter. That guy had said, it doesn't matter because that guy had actually said that when it comes to dames, they're either controlling you or you're controlling them. There's no middle ground. But that's people. That's all people. The D.H. Hughley said the same thing. D.H. Hughley, though, he has, he come up with a good joke. He says, when it comes to boys, some people say that they have a face only a mother could love. When it comes to girls, they only have a personality that fathers could love. That nails it right on the head. That nails it right on the head. He says a lot of things, too, right? I disagree with Cenk Uygur on this point. He says that he's just sort of being stereotypical. When you've experienced, a certain demeanor over and over again, that's how you figure the world out. You'll say, here's how I think the world is, okay? And if I believe that women actually don't care, they don't actually care about my life, right? I could be homeless. Here's a good example. So the other day, there's a woman who had a hair emergency. The daughter of the woman had a hair emergency. So her ex-husband, but her father, rushes her out to the hair salon to get, spend $40. She dyed her hair, and it come out really bad. And now she's ugly, right? Now she has no value in life if she's not pretty, right? It's all about her being pretty. Well, we're all pretty, right? Muhammad Ali, I'm beautiful. So the hair emergency, had to rush out, pay the $40, done, right? Well, I'm on the verge of homelessness. I'm on the fucking verge of homelessness. And there's several examples, but I remember on Twitter, there's this kid, 8th grade or so, basically wrote 1,000 Twitter messages. I'm going to fucking do it. I'm going to jump off a fucking bridge. I don't give a shit anymore. 1,000 messages, just the most depressing shit ever. Here's the reason, here's what's going on, and then he did it. Nobody reached out. Nobody gave a shit. Nobody cares. Nobody cares for men, Women love other women because that's another human, that's themselves, right? Yeah, they probably would admit that there are, for every group of people, you're going to have good and bad, so it's not even like a big shocker. But for, women will love other women because they respect them. Even if they don't love them, if at the very least they'll respect them. Because a woman could call you a bitch back, right? A woman could be just as shitty right back to you. And then what? Then it's like, oh, well, who was being shittier first? Then you actually start talking about, like, what was fair and what wasn't fair. But if a woman provokes a man and, somebody comes up onto the scene, a cop, then 9 times out of 10, that guy's going to get his ass kicked. That guy's going to, unless he just plays his cards perfectly right and she's just fucking still being a psychopath, right? She's just being a fucking nutcase. When the police shows up, he's going to get his ass kicked because the cop would rather just, and not even a cop, but just even some other guy who wants to, like, protect her honor. Hey, did you disrespect her? No, I didn't. Well, she said you did, so you son of a bitch, you want to fight about it? No, actually I don't. If we're fighting over this woman who's going around lying about me, you take her. I don't want her. She's a lying piece of shit, so fuck her. I like people who tell the truth. And that brings me to another point. The sentence is, I asked, a woman this, I was debating, but the men love women, women love women, no one gives a fuck about a man. When a man loves a woman, they have, pussy power. They have pussy power. And so with their pussy power, what do? They try to handle their man. When I've only had very few women actually tell me the fucking truth, and it's only bit and pieces I got in the media. There's some men out there, there's comedians, commentators. There's some people I talk to that's just, just always telling the truth, telling it like it is, how they see it and shit. But the first one was a model, and I can't even remember the model's name, but she had said that in every heterosexual relationship she's ever seen, the woman wins and the man loses. Well, that's fucking bullshit. Who the fuck wants to, who wants to lose for the rest of their life? And I know lots of men who are enslaved to, their wives, which there's some justification for being enslaved to your wife. You're getting pussy, right? Pussy power. But the weirdest ones are the ones that are enslaved to their mothers. That's the type of pussy power, but you're not getting pussy. And so that's some Norman Bates shit. That's some shit you're just being obedient just because the world expects it out of you. No, you were trained to be like that. You were trained. And since you're not controlling her, she's controlling you. She's probably, unfortunately, it's a side effect, I would assume, of either her being, but that's, why do I excuse it? I was going to say a side effect of her being oppressed, right? Maybe by her father or her husband. This is how you're supposed to interact with people. You tell them what to do. That's how it is. And if you're not telling them what to do, then they're telling you what to do. There's no in-between ground. Well, what if you just do you, I just do me, and then we just kind of, I'm my person, you're your person, and we just live like that. That's just how it is. Well, that's how I like to look at it. We build culture. We do, the other woman was Anne Frank. Anne Frank was one of the first people to tell me the truth. Now, right before her then was Anne Moody. Now, Anne Moody said that she wasn't dating the boys when she went to college, but then eventually she started dating one of the boys, and the girls finally was like embraced her. It's like, oh, you're in with the club now. Before she was just reading books and wanting to be this great civil rights leader, wanting to work on her career and all that silly shit, right? So now she's like, putting little curls and being all pretty, and all the girls had all this advice for how to handle her man. All the girls, she said all the girls in her college, freshmen in the dormitory, so I'm thinking like 100 girls are going to Anne Moody as an author, growing up in Mississippi, and when she starts dating, hey, guess what? Here's how I handle my man. And so I think that when I think of that thought, that terrorized the shit out of me. And it terrorized the shit out of me because I know the way I've been. When I've dated women, I absolutely love them. I love them with all my heart. And if I'm going to be, influenced by anybody, I really got to know who they are, where they stand, what their morals are, what their intelligence are, just to let a pretty face, dictate my whole life. That's to be a bitch of a bitch, to be a bitch of a dumb bitch. Oh my God, that scares the shit out of me. It's like, oh, she's got a pretty face, so therefore she gets to dictate everything I'm going to do for the rest of my life, And for some, some are easy to sort of read. They're just going to be like stupid children, right? Dumb children that just whine and cry and do this and that, and you just have to sort of tolerate their bullshit, right? And when you say do this, do that, they listen to you. But they'll probably whine and they'll try to do cute little ways or whatever, try to get you to do things that she wants you to do. And what terrorizes me is if I don't, think of that South Carolina woman. That South Carolina woman, when she was answering that question, right, do you think we should have education, or what should we do with better education? She was talking about South Africa, international, whatnot. She wasn't saying anything, right? You even had Mario Lopez, right? Slater. Slater's kind of like, thank you for that answer. Miss South Carolina. South Carolina, you're fucking dumb, right? You're fucking stupid. That was the best of the best. Well, beauty pageants don't care about the intelligence. She had a pretty face. Well, if a pretty face is all that she needs, and that's nothing. When I think about what a woman is thinking, if in her mind she is thinking, I'm just gonna smile, be cute, get my fucking way, and then handle this asshole like he's a bitch. No, I'm not. That's not a woman that I want. I want a woman. I want a partner. I want somebody that's by my side. And I think the oppressor versus the oppressed relationship applies across the board. We're being more oppressed by these governments and these corporations than we're being oppressed by anything, and being oppressed by a capitalistic system. And then when we get into a household, if one thinks that they're going to oppress the other, we're just going to alienate ourselves further than what the corporations and the government has alienated us. So to think that I could be oppressed, to think that I could be manipulated by South Carolina, Miss South Carolina. I don't even know if I'd want her to drive a truck. I don't know if I'd want her to drive a vehicle. Like, we just drive down the road, you want to drive the car. I don't know. Your cognition seems really bad. You can't really string sentences together, like, in any coherent sense whatsoever. And if you're just thinking that you just got to bullshit, oh, I'm just going to say some bullshit and then people are just going to believe me, well, that's not good enough for me. You know, maybe I should have a driver's lessons, you know, a driver's test at the very least. Maybe I should have a civics exam, you know. I'm not for sure exactly how to find, you know, what the one that I'm looking for, you know, political-wise, intelligent-wise. You're going to be my advisor. And I'm going to go out into this world and I'm going to have to do, you know, make money somehow. And so if I come back and I have to deal with a child, well, that's not good. You know, I want a grown adult. You know, she wants to be a happy homemaker. That's okay, but you got to be smart. You got to help me. You know, when I have some sort of issue that I need to, a conflict that I need to go through or that I need to solve. Well, I need a person who is smart enough to be able to either come up with the idea for me or to guide me in the right direction. Let me figure it out myself. So that's what, you know, the oppressor versus the oppressed. And the last thing is Anne Frank. Okay, so Anne Frank, she had taught me, you know, these are the only women that tell me the truth. Yeah, I know. I mean, I've been in relationships. I know how relationships work. And the way, at least the way that I've been in, I mean, I'm not in one now, but the way that I was in relationships, it just seems like, you know, they're manipulating you, you love them, you care about them. I was dating this one woman, Raya, in Cincinnati, and she was working with me at Work in America, so I was like, oh, she's political, right? She's smart, political, and, you know, she's somewhat attractive, heavy pumpkin head, but eventually we moved in together, and we bought, like, this, you know, expensive little apartment, and within a week, she just quits her job, just didn't discuss it with me, didn't talk to, oh, I'm just going to quit. Nah, I'm not going to work no more. Oh, so I'm just going to be paying for all the fucking shit while you sit around on the fucking house, you know, for 8 hours a day when I'm busting my fucking tail, and you're just going to be sitting around doing nothing? Like, we should have talked about that. But she was like, well, you know, I got the pussy, I got pussy power, and you love me, so fuck you. And that's terrifying. That's terrifying. I don't want to be a slave to anybody. I very much respect my freedom. I don't, you know, growing up in an oppressive, violent household, I don't want to be controlled and manipulated by anybody, and especially by someone who, you know, purports to love me. If I am being manipulated by somebody who loves me, you know, that's why Norman Bates lost his damn mind. She was, you know, his mother was dead, and he's still, like, chopping people up in the hotel. But that's, you know, if they say that they love you, and then you go out in the world and you have all these other sort of experiences, and you go and you tell this person who's controlling and manipulating you, they're not going to tell you anything that makes any sense at all. They will ignore it because they can't acknowledge your humanity. That's what the oppressor does. They have to rob you of that humanity to make you an object, a tool to be used. So they can't tell you the truth. They can't tell you jokes. They can't tell you stories. They can just oppress you and tell you what they... And when you oppress somebody, when you order them around and they do it, you've taken away their humanity, their own thoughts, their own judgment, their own reason, their own ability to determine what's right and wrong, you know, their ethics, their history, their entire life. You've taken away their entire life of whether or not they know how to judge for themselves on how to, you know, behave. Well, clearly you're a dumb fuck, and so fuck you, go out there and do what I told you. Well, you know, I'm a 33-year-old man. I'm not a dumb fuck, and so if I'm just being obedient to a person who purports to love me when I have a conflict, perhaps, you know, I think it'll just confuse everything. It would confuse everything in my worldview. If I'm being oppressed by someone who I think loves me, then I will look at other people who's trying to oppress me as also people who love me too. But that's not the case. People don't love you. People actually who oppress hate you. They don't like you. They don't like your humanity. They don't like your soul. They don't like your heart. They don't like your brain. They like nothing about you. That's why they treat you with such disrespect. Shut the fuck up. Do what I tell you. So I think that, you know, for me, I think that's a very important thing, is to, you know, have a smart person in my life. Smart, politically astute, and just, I don't know, even jokes, being funny, you know, telling stories, just being cute, that don't cut it. That don't, I mean, if I just want cute, that's, you know, I'll just get a little kitten or something, you know, that's nothing. Just being cute is nothing. that's, you know, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm a man, so I do like sex, you know, pretty frequently. At least once a day it's been, you know, so, you know, I would like a woman who I'm attracted to. So I'm not saying that that's not a part of the equation, but it's not the only part of the equation. In fact, it makes me feel like I got to be Justin Bieber. I got to be Justin Bieber. That's the only way I'm going to get anywhere. If I'm Justin Bieber, then women will want me, right, sexually. They might not be able to admit to themselves. Well, you got to get over that. If you want me, you're going to have to call me and say, hey, I want to be with you. Okay, well, then good. If you call me up and you say, hey, I'd like to hang out with you, that gives me all the indication that I need. But women, you know, this goes to Anne Frank. Anne Frank was, she admitted that she had got Peter all titillated, right? She started looking at Peter. They're in this annex. They're in this secret room together. And while they're in this room, you know, he's the only man or only boy, you know, close to her age that's even in this, you know, secret hiding place. There's about 6 or 7 or 8 people or so, mostly parents, right? And then she's got her sister. But there was Peter, and so eventually she started looking at Peter, and she started really being, you know, was like, oh man, he's cute. I like him. I like what he's up to. What's going on here? And so all this lustful feelings, you know, started coming up. And so what Anne Frank did was she tricked him into kissing her instead of saying, hey, I like you, and, you know, start, you know, jumping his bones and just being honest about the damn thing. She got him all titillated. She got him all titillated and excited and started, you know, chasing. She was chasing him, but she had twisted around and got him to chase her. And that's what she said. At first, I thought that you had conquered me, but actually I had conquered you. And then once she had conquered him, once she got him all excited about her, and he got, you know, finally she got him to kiss her, and then once he had kissed her, she started to, you know, the lust started going down, and then it was, well, what kind of person are you? And she didn't like him. She was dull, and there was some, you know, really problems with this character that she didn't like. And so she didn't like the guy. She didn't even like the guy. So after she, you know, got past her own, you know, horniness, because women like sex too. We're all human beings. We all get sexuality. But once she got past that, she started looking at the person for himself and realized that he wasn't nearly as dynamic as what she had thought. She had just got herself into this very excited sort of, you know, tizzy. She got herself into an excited tizzy. And so that's, you know, what was remarkable about that was that Anne Frank actually admitted that. Anne Frank actually took the responsibility, because she was like, well, now what am I going to do with him? I got him all excited. He's all into me now, and I don't like him. I don't really want to be with him. And they're also being oppressed by the Nazis. They're in one room. What the hell are you going to do? If you're in the community, you know, I think there's better options, but that's, she took responsibility. She took responsibility, like, what am I going to do with this man? He loves me. He cares about me. I got him excited. I actually conquered him and got him to kiss me. And, you know, she took responsibility for that, whereas I think some girls could just, you know, or, you know, women could pretend like, oh, my God, I don't even know why he was doing that. Well, you were in the car with him, yeah, and you were wearing, you know, very little clothing, and you're making a pouty face, and you're doing all this other, you know, the sultry, siren, you know, seductive shit. You were Miss Seduction. You were Mrs. Robinson, and you don't know why he got all excited and thought something might have happened. Now, you know, yeah, you still have a right. He doesn't have a right to do anything bad, but to assume that she has nothing, that she doesn't even add to the equation of what, you know, whatever we could be talking about, whether it's a crime. If it's a crime, fuck, you know, a criminal. Who gives a shit about that? But if it's just, I don't know, a boy who calls her at night, why is he calling you? I don't know. I mean, I keep smiling at him really big, and I keep on getting all excited, and I write him little love letters, and I send him naked pictures of myself. That might be why he called. That, you know, I feel like that's the reason he called. Yeah, that's it. There it is, right there. And, you know, I don't know. This is more just for fun. But if I look at like what women today, if you go back in the 40s and 50s, women had to deal with domestic violence and marital rape and a lot of bullshit. But they also were being taken care of, right? Supposedly. It depends if you're with a poor man or middle class man. If you're with a middle class man, you got yourself a house, you got yourself land, you got yourself space. He gives you whatever you want. That's nice. Just he wants to be happy with you, so you just got to make him happy. And so when I think about what do women do today? Well, before they cook, clean, was able to they would churn butter. They would wash clothes by hand. Churn butter, wash clothes by hand. Work out in the fields. They could sew, sew clothing. They had a lot of talents. They had a lot of things, skill sets that they could do. Today, I don't expect. There's this woman, I'll speak specifics instead of generalizing, but Mahala Banks, okay? So I'm talking to Mahala Banks, and I just actually saw her today. She's a whore. She's an absolute whore. She goes around, this town, that part of town. She goes with anybody that's got money, drugs, anybody that's willing to, entertain her. That's where she goes. She is really skinny. She has the body of a boy. She is not attractive to me. And she doesn't really have that pretty of a face. She has to put a ton of makeup on. Her jaw was broken, and by a man who gave her drugs, and she still kept talking to him, right? So an asshole who's an oppressor, that's who she respects. But if you respect her, I think that most humans only understand oppress or be oppressed. So if you're not the one bossing people around, then you're the one going to be bossed. And I think that there's a middle ground. I think there's an equality is possible without the hierarchy. So, Mahala Banks is disgusting. She's ugly. She's crack, meth, Oxycontin. She taught me about Neurotins and Boxins, and they're getting on all these other pills around here in Appalachia. And that's all she does is she'll find a man who's taking care of her, drain them of everything that they own, and then once they are gone, then she goes on to the next guy. And that's been her life. She's 40 years old. That's her life. That's what she does. And, she's not going to look for, she don't even think about looking for a job. Look for a job? I ain't going to look for a job. She's got, 3 or 4 kids. She don't give a shit. Everybody else is taking care of them. So this, for anybody to defend any gender just willy-nilly, I think is fucked up. Like I said, every group of people's got good and bad in them. Every fucking group of people. So there's no group of people that you could think of like, well, Australians. All Australians are great people. No, I bet you there's not so great people in Australia. My point, though, is even Mahala Banks, an ugly, disgusting, decrepit, dumb user, a manipulator, exploiter, schemer, a stealer, a thief, has plenty of men that's going to, throw all their resources at her feet because they're whores. And so part of the blame is for the men. They're just such whores and just want sex so damn much. They allow her to get them all stirred up and then, just throw a bunch of... She once told me a story about how she would, just did all his drugs for the entire, for like months or whatever, and then once it was all gone, she started to leave, and it was like, oh, so once the drugs are gone, you're going to leave? And she's like, yep, I'm out of here. And she was bragging about it. She's like, man, I really fucked him. I fucked him. Like, screwed him over. And she didn't give no sex, no kisses, nothing. She just took his resources and got the fuck out. So, could you imagine being oppressed by her? Could you imagine falling in love with a person like her if you thought that what she was beautiful? Which she's not. Which that kind of... I used to think ugly women had the same life that I do, but no, they don't. She don't have to get a job. She don't have to, you have to get a fucking labor job. That fucking sucks. I would rather a woman just love my ass so much that she just wants to give me all the money. I'll take care of the kids. I'll take care of the house. I'll make her happy. What do I need to do? Like, what does Mahala offer? What would Mahala Banks offer? She just has boobs, She just has a vagina. She has, and she's real skinny, so she don't even really have boobs, and she doesn't have a butt. She just has a vagina, and, being a whore, she probably... It's like a petri dish, right? It's probably really nasty down there. And no telling what STDs and, venereal diseases that you would get from her. So that's what she brings to the table. She's got a vagina, and that's it. She's got a vagina. And she can't cook, can't clean, can't do no churning butter, no doing, lawn work, nothing. She can't do a fucking thing. Talentless, and not smart, not politically oriented, no morals, no ethics. It's only about her, and take as much as she can, fuck all the men. And that would be terrifying. That would be terrifying to think that you could fall in love with someone like her, and then that person would be controlling your life. And she wouldn't tell you, and she would be bullshitting you when she didn't want something. Listen to whatever it is you're saying. Just say something, right? And then when she wants something, they're like, hey, this is what I want, because she's controlling you. She is handling you. She has conquered you. And so, I'd like a more honest relationship. So I appreciate Anne Frank for telling me the truth, and Moody, and that model who told me that all heterosexual relationships are, the woman wins and the man loses. I don't want to lose. I don't want to fucking lose. And I don't see, someone once put this meme out, it seems like the only good relationships these days are fuck buddies. And there is something actually very liberating about fuck buddies, because when it comes to motivations, human motivations, why people do the shit that they do, the sex drive is one of the main motivators. Sigmund Freud said the feeling to feel important, people want to feel important, and the sex drive. That's what governs all human behavior, according to Sigmund Freud. Even Emma Goldman, who is against marriage and, says that how it's bullshit that love gets intertwined with church and state when love by itself is just so wonderful. And she didn't believe in monogamy, but there is one man that just got her so fucking wound up. She hated him, sleeping around with everybody else. She wanted him for herself. And so even, Emma Goldman, an anarchist, a very strong feminist anarchist, eventually had to admit to herself that sex was a very big driving and governing force to her behavior. So, what that says to me is just that we just need to be more honest with each other. I don't know if monogamous, if marriage type of relationships work. I don't know if moving in together works, but fuck buddies, people that want to have sex with each other, that seems like the best way to do it, because you got your house and your own independent life. They got their house, their own independent life, and you meet together. If you like their company and talking with them, you can hang out and sort of interact with them on that level. But if it's about the sex, then you get together, you fuck, you're both satisfied, and then you go your separate ways. And there is something very liberating about that. And those seem to be the relationships that's working, instead of being in the household being miserable, instead of one person trying to will their power over another. That just seems like just a constant battle of wills, just a big struggle nonstop. And supposedly when you stop the struggle, you die. But, every once in a while, I just want to kind of relax and not have to, being like, shit, is she manipulating me? Is she scheming against me? That sucks. I don't want a woman to bullshit me and to say, well, you think I'm pretty, so therefore I get to fuck you over as much as I can. I'll leave it off with this last point. I was talking to one woman who I respect, and I appreciate her honesty, but she was sitting there just explaining how she gets everything taken care of, like I've explained. And, just she smiles, her man takes care of her. And she also says, oh, he kisses my ass. And, I don't know if that's sort of her overcompensating that she has all the power, because even though she might have most of the power, since he pays the bills and pays the entire house, if he's like, hey, we're going to the movies, hey, we're doing this thing, hey, we're going dancing, she does it. She has to do it. Hey, I'm hungry. Hey, I want to have sex right now. She has to do it. She's got to, right? And so in a way, that's sort of a long-term prostitution contract. That's what a marriage sounds like. Hey, everybody, look who I'm fucking. This is who I'm fucking, everybody. And, it could be the man or the woman these days, and I aspire to sort of be, I met a gay relationship, and one of them was working, and the other one was staying at home when they first started, but then the other one fell sick. and the other one started working. That's fucking perfect. That's what I would like. I would like an equal relationship, equal in finances, equal in sex, equal in freedom and independence. And if